100%. Yo, what is up, that fit gang? It's great to be back. It's been a couple of 2 weeks, I think, since the last time we had a podcast come out. So, as always, very grateful for you guys to tune in and join in on these conversations. They're amazing. They're open. They're honest, and where we are in our lives. And obviously, you guys can obviously chime in and notice where you guys are in your life as well. So, thank you guys for tuning in. But today, we're running it back a little bit. A while ago, we had a Fuck It Up Fridays with the very lovely Sammy K and my guy Sigal. If you guys have been watching for a while, if you're new to the channel, Sigal and Sammy have been an integral part of the podcast. So it's good to get them back on and have another conversation. They're always so open and honest, and that's all you ask for people that come on the platform and share their stories. So it's great to be back. But how are we going? How's the weekend? What are the plans for the weekend? Sammy, let's start with you. What have you been up to?
All right, look, I haven't been up to a whole lot, just my usual grind,
100%.
Gym,
How's this? We walk into the gym this morning, and I look at the guy, he looks back at me, and Sammy's over there fucking like hip thrusting.
Just hip thrusting of doom, man.
This girl gets it, she's in there like working her ass off. So that's the first thing that you notice about people is that
after we leave.
100%.
Right?
I like
what
it.
was that about?
I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Now, look, I feel like I hip thrust a lot lately. I feel like I'm always training legs.
I fucking said that to you. So the first thing I walked over and said, weren't you doing this yesterday?
And I'm like,
bro, that's exactly what I thought. I was saying yes, I was like, fuck, are you sweet lunging up Mount Everest?
I know, I did like 1,000,001 lunges yesterday, and then I was doing them again today.
Yeah. Is that in your programming?
Yes, I blame Lockie.
Yeah, Lockie.
Right, what is going on, Lockie?
Out here trying to kill people.
Right, but hey, it's working, so I'm feeling good and just focusing on training. I'm working a lot. I'm saving money for upcoming trip.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Where you going?
So I'm going back home to see the folks. So I haven't been home for 5 years. Yeah, so it's a long time. Like
it's a minute.
It was kind of my own fault at first because I planned a trip back, but then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so that delayed things, obviously.
And
so
you were meant to go back
when
COVID struck.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Same.
So then that delayed things. And so anyway, I'm going to make it back in June. And I'm going to take my mum for a little trip to Paris and Amsterdam, Italy.
Good. So the trip is booked, confirmed, done.
Confirmed, done,
Fantastic.
booked, locked in. Yeah.
Well done.
So I just wanted to really this year make memories with the people that I love the most, and I feel like having that big time of not seeing them all has really made me realise how important they are.
So that's obviously something that you're consciously trying to focus on for this year.
Yeah, because
spending time making memories with people that you love.
Because I know it sounds really sad and dramatic, but because I haven't seen my mum for 5 years, I'm like, one day she's not going to be here, and I'm going to look back and be like, oh my God, I wasted so much time.
That's not sad and dramatic. That's real.
That's so weird because lately I've been like that, man. And every day it's just like, fuck, time is actually moving and it's moving quickly. And if you actually don't experience everything that you want to experience and who you want to be and what you want to create, it's a weird feeling. It's because you always feel like one day you're going to die and it's just like, fuck, how do you navigate that? How do you create urgency from that feeling of time is going slowly, make the most of it?
Yeah.
Well, I think on that point, I think it's just, you don't have to think, because then if you put that I'm going to die one day, it's like something that's hanging over your head. All you need to do to be comfortable with the life that you've lived is be present in everything that you're doing.
Yep.
So do everything, because chances are, if you're being present in every moment, if someone asks you to go out and do something with them, because you're present in that moment, you will go out and do that. You won't say no, So it's it's just enjoying the moment and living in the moment, so that when you do get to the end of the line, you're like, you know what? Maybe I didn't do a whole lot, but everything that I did, I was right there in the moment and I enjoyed it.
It had meaning, right?
Yeah. Was there a pivot point for you that made you sort of get into that notion, of did something happen, or was it just something that you decided to...
Is this recent, or is it something that you've always...
No, it's been recent. So since just of not being home for so long and not having that time with the people that I love, and just as you get older in yourself, you realise everyone else around you is getting older too, right? And so the older people in your life, like my parents, I'm like, I've got to face it one day, they're not going to be here, and I don't want to look back and think that I didn't spend enough time with them, because once it's done, it's done.
That's the only thing we have,
right?
Just time.
Time is the most valuable thing.
Definitely.
100%.
So what else have you got planned? So you're going to go and do, obviously, like a tour around Europe.
Yep. And then on my way back to Oz, I'm just going to stop in Thailand for 3 weeks because everyone knows that's my favourite place, right?
You're going to retire there, aren't you?
Is there anyone else that you're going to go and see? Like besides
Why
your mum,
Thailand, not
obviously?
Bali? Not Bali?
No, Thailand. I don't know. It's got a hold on me, that place. I freaking love it.
I remember you saying you were going to go there for like quite a while. Yeah, like when you pack it all in, you want to end up in Thailand.
Yeah, that's it. So if I ever go missing, well, you know where to find me.
We'll just take a trip to Thailand.
Sammy's in Thailand. She'll be fine.
Yeah, 100%.
No, 'cause she's filming the next Hangover movie.
Right.
100%.
No, so was there anyone else that you want to catch up that I guess is close to you in that same sense? You know, when you go back, like friends, family, people that mean a lot to you.
It's just my immediate family, really. Like my.
Are you still got friends and stuff like that there?
Nah, don't have friends.
I don't know what we are. But no, like, you know, do you still keep in contact with people from home? That's
not many, really, if I'm honest, because I feel like the friends I had at school, like we've drifted apart so much, we've gone in different directions. It's been so long since I've spoken to any of them, you know, and as a youngster, like I went to lots of different schools too because I got bullied so bad. Oh. I know, sad. I'm over that. It's fine.
That's
whatever.
crazy. Yeah.
You always have one of those moments on the podcast.
I want to ask a question about that because that happens so much, and you hear with a lot of girls and stuff like that. It might sound like weird, but like, do you think you would have become the person if you weren't bullied?
Oh, no. I'm so pleased that I was bullied. That sounds ridiculous, but no, I really am because, I would not be the person. I wouldn't be here.
What do you think? What do you think how do you think bullying changed your path? Like from where you were, say, going before, you know, certain things happened. How do you think, and what in you did it I guess strengthen?
Spark,
you know.
I think independence, because when you spend a lot of time on your own, because you're being bullied, obviously, you grow to be able to spend time in your own company and you get to know yourself a lot and you become like independent. I didn't really need anybody. I didn't need to have friends.
So what were the tools that you used to like sort of, I guess, get through that part, you know, for anyone who might be going through it?
Yeah. How did you deal with that at that time, and how would you deal with it now that you've obviously been through that and understand what it's like?
Well, at the time, my mum, bless her heart, thinking she was doing the right thing, would move me around schools.
Yeah.
So I went to 8 different schools growing up. Yeah,
shit.
Right? So I'd get bullied, and then my mum would just change schools, which in hindsight probably wasn't the best thing, but she thought that was at the moment, right? But I think
So what do you think would have happened if you just stayed at the one school and faced it? Do you think that would have been another?
Now looking back on it.
Look, I mean, I don't know. I think that probably would have been better because I'd have just learnt to face things and not run away, which obviously did have an impact on my life because on the last podcast we were saying about escaping things, right? So obviously that did have a
ripple effect,
knock-on effect to other things I've done in my life, but I still wouldn't change any of that. So, I mean, maybe it was the right thing to move to give me that. So
what were you doing? Like, okay, so you get bullied at school.
Yep.
What do you do after that? You just go home and cry, or what do you, like,
go home, cry, just beg my mum to do something about it, you know, like... And then my parents would get upset, obviously. And then I stopped making it seem like I was really upset about it and just kind of like getting on with it. And then the more I tried to make it seem like that, that's actually what started to happen. Because I was like, okay, this is okay, I'm fine.
You just got to be that person before anyone else can. You've got to believe you can be that person before anyone else can.
But it got pretty crazy. Like the worst time was I actually got bullied by guys as well, by boys. And the worst time was one boy, Lee, he was called, and he set
Lee. Fuck you, Lee.
Lee McDonald, fuck Lee. No, he actually set my hair on fire with a Bunsen burner in science. I swear to God, he'd sit behind me, and we had the Bunsen burners in science, and he set my hair alight.
Yeah. No way. Like, how much? Like, quite a fair bit.
I was like, like just mouth, and then am I smoking here?
Holy shit!
Yeah, like it not okay. Like
that's like next level shit.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Lee.
I know.
Yeah. Did you have any experience with like that at school and stuff like that? And did you like experience like other people or anything like that?
Me? Nah. At school, man, like I basically was just like, because my parents were very strict in the sense of like, you know, like school to me was like, if I fucked up in school, the worst thing, I wasn't scared of school. I was scared of my mum finding out that I fucked up at school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anything that happened to me or anything that I got in trouble for, I would do my damnedest to like not have my mum find out about that, because I was just scared of an ass whipping. Like, you know what I mean? So, but look, I sort of kept to myself. I always had like through each school that I was at, I basically made one good friend, had a really small circle, sort of kept to myself. I was always, you know, good at what I did, and so no one really, and I was always nice to people, like, you know, like I never really, because I moved from South Africa to New Zealand, and like, you know, it's hard, I guess, coming to, well, you know, somewhere where there's predominantly not too many black people, you know, so coming into a school where, you know, I was like, at my first primary school, I was the only black kid there. Yeah. So it was like, I couldn't really step out of bounds and, you know, be that person and that big personality, you know, that I...
What was that like for you? Because, like, you hear other people talking about and stuff like that. How did you perceive that? Or were you too young to sort of notice, like...
Man, there was once when I got angry because this kid just would not leave me alone. Like, I remember, like, man, primary school kids are fucking mean. you know, and especially, like, when you see it from an outside perspective, like now I look back at it, I'm like, that poor little guy got picked on, like me, you know, like got picked on so much, like, but then, you know, like this one kid, like I remember he would just not leave me alone for like 6 months. I was at school and I was having a bad day, jumped up on the playground and I just hear this playground's only for white kids.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
You know, and then I just lost it, like, you know, and like we got into a little bit of a you know, fight, I guess you'd call it. But then it was so good, and that was like a turning point for me because everyone at school, like in my class and around in my syndicate, knew that I was getting picked on by this kid, so that like I beat him up and everyone had my back. They said, nah, he didn't do anything wrong, that. So it was like really, really good, and that's when I sort of like, you know, I had to go through a really hard point to get to the point where I fit in with the rest of the people, you know what I mean? So I went through 6 months of like just straight bullying and whatnot, and then I came out on the other side and everyone had my back. Everyone was like, hey, you know, like he didn't do anything wrong, and then because of that, my mum never got to find that out, you know what I mean? Because the teachers, you know, they went to his parents. But no, man, like it's just something that you've got to do, and like I think, you know, everyone's got to realize that life is just going to go on, even at a young age. That's something that young people go through a lot, man, because when you're young, you just think that everything that happens is the last thing that's going to happen, you know? Right. So you really think that life is just over at that point. How am I going to get past this? You know, at 15 years old, when you get embarrassed at school or something like that, you're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world, you know? But people just really need to realize that, you know, it'll go on and it'll keep going. You just need to keep going with, you know, time keeps ticking, and, you know, you will be from 15, you will be 25, you will be 35, you will be 45. And these things won't matter. So,
because at that time it feels lonely, right? It feels like you're the only one that ever goes through that. And it's having that ability to look from a bigger picture when you're younger. You don't have the ability to look 100%. At that because you're so stuck in that moment as a kid and being like, fuck, why is this not happening to anyone else? But because when you're younger, you don't talk to anyone about it, you feel lonely.
See, the thing is with me, like I was so sheltered in South Africa by my parents, so that when I came over here, I didn't really know how to handle that. So I sort of thought it was like, I guess, normal in a sense. You know, I'm like, well, yeah, I am the only black kid. Yeah, like, you know, like I didn't know what to do or how to handle anything. And that's why, you know, like as I said, I made one friend at each school and sort of like kept to myself. You know, until I, you know, grew up and whatnot. But it's just a time through everyone's life, and people got to realize that whatever you're going through now, it does, as Sammy said, it strengthens you. It really, like, you will not ever be a strong person
unless you go through some
shit. You know, like they say. I mean, I don't really believe in God or anything like that, but they say God gives his toughest challenges to his toughest soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, like
I totally agree. 100%.
And that's the thing, you know, and that you could look at that as in the universe does that and whatnot, and it's like, every time that you just look at challenges as a way to grow and become a better person. Like don't look at them as setbacks or fallbacks or whenever you fail at something. Look at it as a chance to like regroup and, like before, like we all go to the gym, for instance, before you grow muscle, you got to tear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you got to, that's what I'm trying to say is like, I went through that 6 months of like bullying in order to come out on the other side. And that's with everything in life, the training, if you're training for sports or something, you got to go through those hard training sessions. You got to miss 100 shots before you can get that one and become good at it, So like that was school for me. Like I was sort of just kept to myself. What about you? Are you like, you seem like a pretty quiet kid, man.
100%. And I was. And, the thing with sport is like sports was like my safe haven. That's where I felt safe.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember like being bullied or anything because I kept to myself. And sports was sort of like my way out to be like, get away from everyone. And because I was naturally good at it, it was my safe haven. So I didn't have to deal with anything else outside of sports.
Yeah.
So I go home, play sports. I spend a lot of time alone.
So friends, like do you have...
I had friends, but I felt like mum and dad sort of, which is different from you guys. But they sheltered me. They knew that this was because I was good at this. They could put me into that and be like, "Hey, just like let's just do that. Don't worry about anyone else and stuff like that. Like you've got your friends and stuff like that. But I just want you to like focus on doing what you need to do." And the thing with that is that if you shelter someone too much, they become quiet. They become shy, and that's what happened to me. Is that I couldn't cooperate with anyone. I couldn't like talk to anyone openly because...
Did you realize that as a kid or did you
No, I didn't. I was like, man, this is the funnest thing ever. Like I get to play sports and stuff like that. But now like in adulthood, I'm like, it was...
Like I missed out on some key...
I missed out on some key growth and I'm figuring it out now at like 26 years old, bro. Like it's taken me that long to figure out that it was an escape. Like it was something that I was good at, but at the same time I use it as my escape to get away from everything and what was going on. So it was at the same time like I use perfection as an insecurity.
Yeah.
So I'd act like I just want to be really good at this, but it ends up playing in adulthood like an insecurity is that like it was my way to escape the world. It wasn't actually it wasn't like about perfection. It was about escaping from whatever was going on in my life at that point. But because I was good at it, I was getting validation from it. So I was like, "Fuck, this is it," like thing. But
and it's crazy because
when
like
you start,
when
you start not getting that validation going into adulthood because it's like real world shit. Like there's a world out there. Like it felt like I was wrapped up in cotton wool. Like it's gonna be okay over here. But once I got on the real world, I couldn't deal with the real world, bro. And I just started making mistakes, doing stupid shit.
See, all of that happened for a reason for you because, like, you were going down the path of, like, playing rugby, and then that whole scenario happened where you got injured and then you couldn't play rugby. So that the only thing that you'd focused on the whole time, you fucked it. You know what I mean?
100%. And you do. And again, it comes back to that, if the challenges come into your life at the right time because it needs to teach you something.
Exactly.
And I wasn't open to being taught. So the funny thing was because I was naturally good at sports, I didn't listen.
Yeah,
I didn't listen. My dad was my coach. He used to get at me, and I just like, I know. Don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean?
I'm Dan Carter, man. What are you up to?
100%, bro. And because I was making the teams and stuff, and then when I started not to, I was just like, oh, hold on a minute. Like, there's something going on here. Like, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And then when I wasn't, it's like that started to come down on you. Like, you're not getting that validation. It's like, well, you're going your whole life like trying to get validation from everyone else, but your own self-worth isn't there. So I haven't built the like strength, or I didn't really go through any challenges when I was a kid until like now. And then those challenges, it starts to like, fuck, you've really got to go through this stuff to actually...
But that's good that you're using that, like you figured that out. That's the first step to finding out, you know, 100%. Who you are, and you're using that now to actually, and letting yourself know that, hey, it's not too late. No, it's not too late to go through that growth
100%.
and go through all of these steps. But Sammy, what does your current routine sort of look like now? Are there anything, I know, like, last time we talked, there were a few things that you said, like, that I'm trying to do now, like, like make my bed every single morning first thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've been doing it.
It's made.
It's made.
Oh, this is the only morning it's been made, too.
You knew what was coming, right?
No, but like, like certain things like that. So have you, in 2022, have you introduced any other, key little elements to your day that are helping you sort of go through? Because I know you work a lot, you still gym, you still look good and you still look healthy. So how are you sort of keeping everything together while you're doing, doing life?
Yeah, I haven't really introduced anything new because I think if something's not broken, there's no need to fix it.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's working for me. I get up, I make my bed.
Yeah.
I walk
Yes,
my dogs.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to move straight away when you get up too. So like walking my dogs really helps because I get up and I move in my body straight away, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
And then, I go to work. My work's
Do you do any like sort of affirmation, gratitude, anything like that in the morning? Or do you think about it at least?
I used to, and we spoke about this before, and I said that I really need to do it more, but I feel like in the mornings, I'm not in the right headspace.
Yeah.
So I tend to do it later on in the evenings, and I just sit and I just kind of be quiet. Do you know what I mean? And just kind of think about everything that's happened in the day, and kind of like debunk everything in my head, and kind of make peace with everything that happened that day. And then I find that then I go to bed and I wake up and it's like a fresh start.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of, it seems to be working for me better.
Yeah.
So and my work at the moment is all over the place, which does affect me a bit because I'm very much, I like routine.
That's what I was like sort of getting at, because like every time I speak to you, your hours are changing, they're all different. And I know like even during the Christmas break, when we were like off on with work, I just lost my routine.
Yeah.
I lost everything about it, and I'm sort of trying to putting it back together slowly, you know what I mean? But like you, I don't know how you sort of keep it all together.
It's hard, but I'm lucky in respect because I'm classified as like a sole trader, so I get my own clients and so if I feel like I need to take a break, then I can do that. Yeah. Although I should be better at knowing that I need to take time and take it, because I'm very much, I've got the opportunity to work, so I should be working because I should be earning money because I need to make money for this trip, which is one of my bigger goals. So I kind of think, okay, so the bigger goal is to make the money so I can make these memories with the people I love. To enable me to do that, I'm going to have to go to work. Yeah. So
do you feel like that's one of those moments that we were just talking about where you just grind, go through those hard times, and then you come out on the other side, or do you think it may be something that could burn you out?
It could burn you out, but I guess it's just knowing yourself well enough to know when that point is, when to go, okay, so I am going to burn out if I keep going. I need to take a day, and that's okay. Yeah. I'll take some time, and I can, get back to it and make more money and, for my trip or whatever. But it's just finding the balance and knowing yourself well enough to be able to make the right decisions for you. So you're
constantly checking yourself, on a regular basis. Yeah,
you have to, right? Yeah.
Definitely. What about you, bro? So, like, obviously the brand is, you've been working really, really hard. I see you sort of just ticking along, writing down some ideas. What have you sort of been doing to keep yourself in check and prepare for, what's coming with the brand?
Yeah, I think we spoke about it a few days ago, and it's I've had like a weird sense of feeling of that stuff is changing, and I've never been through change so quickly in my life. Like I felt like 25 years of constant, just quite small steps, but not really going anywhere. Yeah. And now it's like things are just rapidly changing. In the last couple of weeks, I haven't been super consistent with Instagram or TikTok and stuff like that, because I've had to sort of step back and make sure that the direction is where I want to go. I don't want to go in a direction that I go fast in a direction that I don't want to go. Yeah. So it's
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Like what I mean is does it align with who I am? Yeah.
And how do you think the direction that you were going? How does that?
The direction wasn't fine. It's just adding this new piece to the puzzle, which is coming out which will come out soon. It's taken a lot of time. Working on a clothing line brand that's part of the piece of the puzzle that's going to create the life that I want. So there's new things, there's new skills you have to learn. Yeah. It's another side of the thing that's taken up a lot of my time. And I'm someone that is a deep thinker, so I do analyze things in a way as, does this align with who I am? Is where that's going to go the right way that I want it to go? Is it the way that I want people to perceive it that's going to give them value? That's actually going to add value to the world. Yeah. You know, don't need another brand, but we need better brands. Yeah. Better brands that are going to help people. So it's been a lot of reflection. Good, yeah. There's a lot going on in my own personal life as well that changes, and they're happening quickly again. That's cool, so it's exciting. Like, again, it's challenge, and I would have stepped away from this before and been like, fuck, is this really for me? But now that I know that this is what I want, this is what I want to create, and I think I can add value to people and help them be their best, that whatever is going on, that this is still the direction I go in. Yeah. And it's committing every day to it. And if you have to take a step back to reevaluate, to make sure that, you know, take that step back to go 2 steps forward, and you have to do it. Like, I always talk about it, like, I take care of myself first and the world can wait. You know, there's no one more important than yourself. And now that I've learned that, like, I'm not going to sacrifice myself just for external things.
Well, the thing is, I mean, look, if you look at it, you can't fix anyone else if you're broken. You know what I mean? That's right. So, like, you know, you really got to, before you go, especially because, you know, I know that's a passion of yours, is really, you know, getting out there and helping other people and helping people become better. So it's like, you know, you can't do that, or people won't follow you or listen to you if they can sense that you're still, you know, an incomplete sort of you know, person.
100%, but I don't think that's an excuse. Like, you can also use that as an excuse, you know what I mean? You say, like, how you said you're an incomplete person. Well, everyone's an incomplete person. You're never a complete person. You're never perfect. So you've got to move in spite of not being perfect. Yeah. Because you can't wait for the perfect moment. You can't wait to be complete.
Because it never comes.
It never comes, man. And it will never come, because there's always parts of us that lack. There's always parts of us that just isn't there, and sometimes might not even be there for our whole life. But it's about pursuing those pieces to ensure that you're the most rounded person, that you have the relationships that you want, you have the body that you want, you have the mind that you want, because that's all that matters.
That's something that, like, I've really been learning over the past sort of couple of months. The last 2 months, you know, like, there's been so much that's gone on. Like, you know, I've just realized that life really does not stop. Like, you know, so, like, when
I feel like it speeds up.
God.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, the thing is, like, because I noticed that a lot of people in life have been saying, like, oh, it's just not the right time, it's not the right moment, I need to wait till this happens, we need to wait till that happens. And it's like, you know, for me, like, you know, even the past 3 weeks, like, you know, I think there was like I had a lot going on as far as like occasions and stuff, that the first week, then like the second week, my partner went into isolation, so I couldn't do anything with it. And then the third week, because we were like putting all of these things off, and then the third week I got sick for a week, you know, and then it's like I just realized that, like, you know, there's always going to be some shit going on in life, you know what I mean? But you just got to, like, that's what I mean about being present. You know, you just got to be in the moment and live every moment, and just, like, you know, treat it all like it's your last, you know what I mean? Like, just get it out of the way and do it, you know? But yeah, like, even for me, so I've gone through a pretty big change at the moment. You know, so I set some goals last week. So not last week, last year. Last year.
New goal, baby.
And you know, I sort of timed it, and said, you know, around my birthday, which was last month, around sort of March, April, you know, I was going to step into, like, a new role, new career. I wanted to get some time back, you know, as in, i.e. my weekends. I wanted to work less hours, just work less, because I feel like, you know, since fresh out of school, I've been working my ass off, and, you know, for quite a long time now. And I'm just like, you know, I'm at a point where I want to step back and really, again, be present, enjoy moments in life, enjoy time with my partner, enjoy time with you guys, you know, be able to actually just live life and really see it for the value it is. Like you said, life is short. You never know sort of when it's all going to, you know, tick along. But, you know, so that was the goal, and just set my sights on something, and it happened. I thought I was going to leave my current career or have to leave it to get to where I wanted to go and to get that time back. But I didn't end up having to, because I wanted it so badly. The career that I'm in, I got way more than I was asking for, and stepped up at quite a fair level, and went through quite an astronomical change, and it's now everything's just in place. I can take my weekends whenever I want. I work from literally, I get there on time, I leave on time every single day, and, get some real time to focus on me and focus on what I'm trying to do and achieve, not in a career aspect, because that's what it's always been about for me. It's always been about career and the next step, but it's more now focusing on what I want to be as a person. That's so important because that's what everyone else sees, and that's what you see in the mirror, so focusing on my health, focusing on, my mind and my body, so just really making time for ourselves. And I think this generation, which is very exciting because there's so many more people in the world right now, and you see, you guys will see it on social media, there's a lot of people that are doing the affirmations and taking care of their body and, getting up and going to the gym. And it's how big has the gym become for people in today's world? Right. My partner and I were talking about it. It was the only time, in the early 2000s, for instance, only time I'd see someone wearing gym tights and active wear is one of those step class videos. Do you remember those?
That was 80s shit.
Right. Do you remember those? Literally.
Just before we do carry on with that conversation, we'll just reset the camera and we'll be back with you guys in a second. Welcome back, guys. We'll carry on with that conversation.
I was just saying, people have, found so many more outlets now, walking, writing, because I feel like we're such an outspoken generation compared to the last. We don't just brush it under the carpet. We want to do something about it, and it's really, really cool to see, and then there's platforms like this, which everyone's sort of creating now, you know, and it's good in a sense because the more people, we have our own audience and our own people that'll see it, and if there's someone down the road that's doing the same thing, they have the same thing, So as long as, I guess, that they're spreading the message and spreading the good word, then, that's all we can ask for.
100%. Because him speaking about changes and stuff like that, how do you perceive change now? What was the way that you perceived change before, and how do you see perceive change now?
I used to not like change, and I used to... because I think going back to being young again and being bullied, the change of schools and stuff was always a negative thing.
Negative,
So anything that was different, I saw as a negative thing. It was because I wasn't good enough, so something had to change. Or do you know what I mean? Whereas now, I'm all for change. I think change is as good as a holiday, as they say.
Yeah.
And I totally, if I can change things, if I have an opportunity to do so, I will.
Yep.
Just to mix things up sometimes and just see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And because I think it's about finding your own space and finding your own people, the whole being bully thing at school. It's all about finding you and finding where you belong and what feels right to you. And you can't do that unless things keep changing. Because even if you think it's right, you don't know if you've got to let things change and evolve to be actually, this is right. And that wasn't right, or that was right at that moment, but I needed that to then move into this new change and keep evolving. So I'm all for change. And mix things up.
Yeah, that's stages of life. And I was thinking about, and I was having a conversation with our friend Josh about it, was that you can't be the same person that you were at 21. You can't be the same person that you were at 25. You can't be the same person you were when you're 33, when you're 25, is that because life expects more of you and you have to step into that challenge, into that change to go to the next level in your life. If you're doing the same things now that you were back then, there's no change there and you don't actually evolve. And it's like a constant push and pull of when you should change and when you shouldn't change. And I think now for me is that I just go back to myself. I trust myself. I go with my instincts. Like, we know, because the funny, you know how that thing is, like, there's so much information now. Like, we're in the age of information. There's so much information out there, but people still aren't doing the things that they want to. You know, there's all this information, how to make money. There's information, how to, like, get in the best shape of your life. There's great information as much as there's, like, bad information, but there's no excuse not to live the life that you want to live now, because there's so much information of how to get there. But again, it's because people come back to, they don't trust themselves. They're not taking that instinct. Like, we know as humans what to do, but we just, for some reason, we're conditioned to be like, oh, no, don't do that. Like, that's not how you're supposed to do it. But we know naturally as humans what decisions we need to make. And it's always coming back to, like, just trust yourself. Like, no one else is actually going to trust you. We spoke about the other day. No one actually wants you to win. They don't really care if you win or not. They don't care if you're successful or not, because they're worried about themselves. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't trust yourself, then no one else is going to trust you either.
Yeah, that's so true. Hey, that reminds me of, you know, when you were at school and I used to stress about it, the teacher would go around the circle and you have to stand up and you have to introduce yourself and say whatever. And I would be fretting the whole time and I wouldn't want to go first. And then one day someone was like, no one else is listening to you because they're so worried about what they're going to say. Go first, because no one cares. No one will even remember what you said. And that is like the thing of life, like you were just saying as well. 100%. Everyone is so focused on what they're going to say, what they're going to do, where they're going, that they're not really watching you anyway.
I don't, like, based on, like, what both you guys just said, there's, like, two ways I'd look at that. And, you know, I think everyone does know what they should be doing, right? Yeah. However, I think there's two key points that as humans that we need to discuss. It's like, as humans, especially in the age that we are now, yes, we have all the accessibility, right? But we want it now. That's what the 21st century is based on. Having the shit now. Like, how many things that are so unnecessary that we've invented just to get things faster, convenience. You know what I mean? And the other part of that, but on the other spectrum of that, is consistency, right? So someone who says, let's say, wants to get in the best shape of their life, right? They look at this information, they go, I want that now.
100%, because they see those people, they've got it now.
Yeah, so the real problem is not the information or digesting it, it's the consistency. Because I don't know if this is a thing, but I thought about it, I sort of thought about this in my mind, and it's the 3 I's. It's improvements in increments, right? So that's super important for me, because I realize that everyone and in every aspect wants things now, but you can't. You never will. And in order to be something great or to get something great, it's going to take time. You look at anyone, Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, all of these people, they didn't play basketball for 2 years and then become these people, you know. They played it for 15 years, 10, 15, you know.
They're working out for hours a day
too. You know, so it's like people need to realize that, hey, if you're going to set your mind to something, you need to just improve and take a step day by day. I was talking to one of my staff and yesterday, and, you know, she's going through that point where she's like, I really want to figure myself out. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't know where I'm going. And I said, look, you just need to do one thing a day that is like growth, you know? So if you decide that, you know, you want to get up and you listen to a podcast that puts a different perspective in your head, that's growth. That's fine. That's fine. You just keep going. The thing that you need to do, and I keep coming back to this, is be present in the moment and live life. Because if you're doing that, you're going to grow. If you're going and having these conversations like we are now, we're all growing from this conversation. If we go to breakfast after this, we're going to have another conversation. We might see someone. We might do this. We're going to grow from that experience, you know. So it's just putting more experience in the bank, and then before you know it, and that's where I guess humans fall down as well, is because we live life and we achieve these goals, but then we don't really realize that we've achieved these goals. What did we even learn? Hey? You know, what did you even learn along the way? Yeah, but then because you're on such a run, you don't stop to smell the roses and realize that you have achieved that. You know, you have become like that person. Like, did you ever acknowledge in your life, like besides obviously now talking about it, that, hey, like I used to get bullied, I used to do this, but now no one can touch me. You know what I mean? Like we don't really go through those stages of going, wow, I've come so far in that thing, you know, in that aspect. And so that we can sort of compartmentalize the goals and the levels that we're achieving, you know what I mean? Right. So it's like, I just think that's very important. Just improve little by little. You know, we've got so many days, like, you know, look, time is short, but we've also got a lot of time.
That's right.
See, and that's the most, like, push and pull of life is that life is so long, but it's so short.
Yeah, touching on what you were just saying as well, I feel like you were saying how everything's so quick and, you know, we want everything yesterday.
Yeah.
I think people set themselves up to fail from the get-go. Yeah. So, like you said, you know, they want to get the best body and they're like, oh, this 12-week challenge and then I'm going to walk out the gym looking like I've stepped on stage. And then when that doesn't happen, you know, they give up. And I think it is, you're right, you need to just do a little bit every day. And they say, it's that saying like about building a wall. You don't set out to build the whole wall. No. You set out to lay one brick as perfectly as it can be laid, and then you move on to the next brick. Yeah. And then soon you have the wall. But you don't set out to build the whole wall.
100%. Because now that you're obviously in the shape that you are now, like you obviously didn't get there by accident. You just don't wake up one day and you're fucking in shape.
So I look at like people just need to really realistically ask themselves, or ask the people that they're trying to aspire to be like, how long did it like really take you? Like, how long have you been training?
Oh, over 10 years.
Over 10 years. Yeah. How long have you been training? Like, you know.
Just about my whole life.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So it's like, you know, these goals and attributes, like, you know, if you're trying to become a good lawyer or if you're trying to become a good salesperson or whatever, like, these things don't happen overnight. And just because you're sitting next to someone who's in that position and you guys work on the same level, it doesn't mean that you should be in the same level, because that person's done 10 years of experience and seen, and it's just the experience and doing the reps, you know, with anything in life, it's just repetitions and repetitions. And as you do more, you'll get good. You cannot skip that. You know, Floyd Mayweather can't skip the amount of punches he's done to become as good as he is. You know what I mean? You have to you just got to punch on, you know? So it's like, it's a very, very key ingredient, and people need to, you know, if you're going to set a goal that's realistic, right? So, you know, under promise in a way, you know? So if you want to if you want to lose 10 kilos, put your goal at like 3, 100%. Right? So then when you lose 5, you're like, oh, fuck, cool, you know.
And that gives you the momentum then to keep pushing,
exactly, because you can see those improvements in increments, you know, and that's what that whole thing to me means. It's like, you know, if I can genuinely say, like when I watch a podcast at night and then the next day, because I've got that in my brain, I'm talking to a client or something, and then it comes up and I can tell them about this meteor that's coming, to, you know, or whatever I was watching about, you know, like, and then I'm like, wow, that's growth, and that will inspire you to keep, you know, 100%. Learning, keep going, and keep doing, you know, different things. So, no, I think it's a very, very important thing. But it's good that, you know, people are becoming more aware of that, and you know, I think we just need to realize that, hey, you sometimes need to slow down to speed up. You know?
You have to slow down every day too.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Like everyone's different in how they go about things, right? It's funny that you talk about Floyd Mayweather. It's just like, he does all his work at night. He does all his business deals. He works out at like 3 a.m. in the morning. And it's just like, find what works for you.
That's right.
You doing that at night, I'm like, no way. I'm doing that shit first thing in the morning. Like, I'm getting clear in the morning. Like, that doesn't resonate with me. I understand, like, you do it in a different way, but it's like, that just doesn't work for me, which is, everyone wants to be like someone else. So they do the same thing as someone else to try and get the same result. And it's just like, that doesn't work for
me.
And
that's the tricky part about that information.
Is that, where do you get that
information from?
What is that context? You know what I mean?
And that's why, like, I think human contact and interaction will never be replaced. Like, you could go and, you know, from the start, never have met Lockie, right? And read his workout programs and whatnot. And I guarantee it, I can almost guarantee you probably never would have been as effective, because he's not there with you going, no, slow that rep down, no, lift your hips up, or no, you know, like
100%. So it's about having that connection and having someone there. And what's great about Lockie is I'm so honest with him and he's honest with me, and I know that, but there's no way that we would have built that
if it was just online.
If it was
or if it was
online,
just
there's
reading
no way.
and copying and whatnot. Yeah.
And he can be like, oh, what the fuck's going on here? Like, you're having a bad day. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And that keeps me accountable. But he couldn't do that online. If he sent me that email like, oh, that wasn't a good day, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You didn't know what I was doing.
Because we've built a relationship face to face like that, he can be honest with me. I can be honest with him. And that's why it works. And, you know, it is all about that personal connection, 100%.
Definitely. 100%. Well, there's some positive stuff in there, guys. There is some positive stuff in there. I think we should wrap this up. I'm hungry. Sure. Let's go get some breakfast.
Before we do that, I do, you know, I want two.
I do. He said it.
You want to do?
I do. Do you guys want to? No. I want to know, like, what's two things that you're grateful for today. We always like to end on a positive vibe. You know, we're grateful. We get another day. Mm-hmm. What are the two things that you're grateful for?
Two things. So as of recently, when I got sick like 2 weeks ago, and it was just like a stomach bug, stomach flu. You know, you got the same thing.
Yeah, he gave it to me.
It's terrible.
Not in that way, but like that. He reckons that
I gave him the doo-doo.
I get sick, and he's in bed for like 2 days, and I get home one day, I'm like, fuck, I'm starting to feel sick, and I message him, you're fucking sick, aren't you? Yeah, bro, fuck.
Yeah, no. So, look, feeling like that and being bedridden for 3-4 days or whatever it was, I'm now every single day on a new level, not just saying it, but on a new level, grateful that I can walk without my stomach feeling bad, that I can breathe without having a blocked nose, that I can, like my muscles aren't sore, I can go to the gym, I can do everything. And it's like, look, even literally trying to get up and go and get some water was just such a challenge, it's a terrible thing to be sick and, not to be healthy. So I just think being able to get up and walk and do something, with your life and with your day is just critical. And I will be, and it's going to be a big focus for me over the, next few months, is, really getting onto my diet, because I realize, we're coming to the second half of life now, where diet is becoming, probably more important than it was in the first half when you're growing up. I mean, for me personally. So, eating and keeping a good regimen in place is going to be a really, really big focus. But no, I'm grateful that, I can just get up and be, be myself and be a person of the world that, can move my limbs and go out and do stuff. And look, the other thing that I'm grateful for is, I'm grateful that, I found someone in my life that, I can just spend time with and do, cute little things like,
oh man, I'm tearing up.
No, but like, honestly, like I thought about it this morning.
That's amazing, man.
We went for a walk this morning, and, it was just like, normally I walk the same track, right, by myself, but normally I'm like head down, podcast on or something of that sort. And I'm like really focused on just, the growth. But then this morning I did the same track with her, and I was like, I've never seen that building before. Yeah. I've never seen that before. Like, like just having someone who like, really opens my eyes and makes me appreciate, the good things in life, and just, breathing fresh air and like the simple moments and laughing and doing, little things like that. Like, it's something that you really just can't buy. Money can't buy, a partnership like that. So, I'm super, super grateful for her. And just, everything that's happening in life at the moment is fucking fantastic.
Amazing.
Love that.
Sammy? Is Sammy actually your name, or is it Samantha?
It's Samantha.
I thought so. I was thinking, and K is actually, it's K-A. What?
That's my middle name.
K-A-Y?
Really?
Yeah.
That's
What's
my
your
mummy's
full
name.
Samantha K. Parkhouse.
Parkhouse?
Parkhouse.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Huh?
I'm like, I like to keep things, I'm like a mystery woman, so.
My mum's name is Kay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. K-A-Y, yeah.
There you go.
Hey, there's connections everywhere.
Right? We're
100%.
just building connections.
What's two things that you're grateful for today?
Okay, I am grateful for the conversations that we are able to have freely
100%.
and the platforms that are here for us to be able to do that and express ourselves.
Share it. Yeah.
And I'm thankful for you guys.
Oh, short and sweet. I love it.
It's amazing.
What about you,
bro? Grateful for today. I'm grateful. Yeah, these conversations, man, and it's so funny that the conversations that you have actually make the person that you are. And because you're so influenced by your environment, is that, man, I look forward to every conversation now. You know, like from that shy kid who never wanted to talk to anyone to, you know, still a kid now, like fucking, like talk to me, like what have you got? What have you got? I want to talk to you. Like, what have you got? You know, what's going on in your life? What's good? What's bad? Like, I'm fucking excited to have conversations every day. And if you can do that, which you know, if you're having those conversations, you're excited to have those conversations, it's like your life is going to be amazing no matter what. Because if we can continue to have these conversations and someone just like has that moment where like, fuck, you know what, I relate to that, or man, that's exactly what I need to hear right now. I can go out and like get out of that slump, or if you've been having a bad time, man, I feel so much better now, thank you. And it's just like providing that opportunity, because at the end of the day, it's just an opportunity. Whether you take it or not, it's up to you. But timing and opportunity is everything. So having the conversation at that time and that moment, that's how life is supposed to be. And so I'm grateful for that. And my second one is I'm just grateful for music, man. Yeah. Like lately, I've been listening to such a range of music. Like I've been listening to Bee Gees recently, and it's just like, you can't, that's timeless. That's timeless music. And now with everything moving on is that everything is timeless. And I mean timeless is that there's less time. But if something lasts forever, that becomes timeless. So I'm just grateful for music.
Listeners of the real doo-doo.
100%. Just grateful for music, grateful for these conversations, and grateful for you guys. So hope everyone has a safe, happy Easter. Have all the Easter eggs you want. Unless you want to, you know, you're taking care of that body. I won't be having any Easter eggs.
Come on, just one at least. God damn.
Man. Chocolate ain't my game. Love is my game. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify, give us a review. Let us know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to that channel. We're continuing to grow this thing. Thank you guys for the support as always. But until next time, you guys know what to do. Stay fit. Stay vibey. Let's go.